Hey, what's up, everybody? We're doing a comic book hangout. Obviously, my name is Andrew Davis, and I'm drinking this, which is Ninjas vs. Unicorns. It is a double Indian Pale Ale. It is 8%, so I don't know what's going to happen. It is ultra cute. It's ultra cool. It's a great beer. It's an IPA. It does not drink like an IPA. And obviously, I have with me Chris Brown, Lori. I'm not going to get your last name right.
Calcaterra.
Yeah.
Hello.
I figured you would say that, and then obviously I got Taylor, so... What's up, guys?
Keep
What's
them
up?
busy.
Hello.
Get up.
Well, yeah. So let's just do this before we get too deep into this. Obviously, I'm gonna give everybody a chance to promote themselves, what they got going on, where they can be found. This way, everybody who's tuning into this right at the start can get that sense. So I don't know who wants to start.
Hi, everybody. I'm Lori Calcaterra. I'm the writer-creator of Path of the Pale Rider. I'll just take over because whatever. Our issue number 1 is out. Our issue number 2 is coming to Kickstarter in the fall. We are a Western apocalypse. We got undead bears, crazy zombies. We got gratuitous violence, saloon brawls, sign language, swearing, all the good stuff. So, yeah, you can follow us. I have some social media you can follow, Path of the Pale Rider, on just about every kind of social media. But find us so then you can follow our next issue coming out. We got lots of exclusives coming out, like Funko Pops, Choose Your Own Adventure books, all sorts of stuff. I'll post my link in the comments. Yeah.
What do you got going on, Chris? Because you got something going on right now.
Yeah, we have the Slaughterville Book 2 going. We're about, what did you say? It was 63%? Because you're better.
Yeah,
at
you're
math
at
than
63.
And then we have Gone Hunting with Big Sexy Outdoors. That's coming out September 18th. It's our hunting board game. We got plenty coming up. We're always here, somewhere hanging out.
And then what do you got going on, Taylor?
Oh, buddy, I don't have anything going on right now. We're wrapping up production on Unidentified #1, and then we're going to launch Kickstarter, hopefully, in the next 2 months. Since Kickstarter's got this rule, you can't launch before you fulfill.
Yeah.
Yep.
Unless you're, well, never mind. That's a good.
Yeah, right. But we got these 2 out already, Kane 1 and 2. You can get those on our website, outlawscomics.com/shop. And we got these cool new prints that we just had made up for conventions.
Ooh, fancy.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously, everybody's got something going on, and I had a issue that was very interesting in my life this week when I was speaking to a potential sponsor, and it kind of prompted a question in my head that I'm curious about, where what do you guys look for when you're dealing with people? Are you more interested in sales, or are you more interested in reach? Because that's something that is coming across in my world when I'm reaching out to sponsors for this show. And I'm very curious because obviously all of you have products and all of you, have things going on. And so how do you guys figure out that to reach new people, or are you looking more for sales, or do you think that sales ultimately reach new people and deal with all that? Because that's something that is sort of going on in my world a little bit when I'm reaching out to people right now. And it's sort of a big debate. And I'm curious with the 3 of you, how you guys deal with that. And even what your mentality is when you're pushing out your books, or do you think that sales cures all?
Chris, let's start with you.
Yeah, I was like,
Well, no,
I'm not
whenever
doing it.
I've been doing projects since 2013. My main thing always with any project isn't so much sponsors, because I found so many that the services aren't what they brag them up to be. It's building the relationship with the people. If you can create that connection between you and them, that's going to bring them back more than almost any sponsor is going to. That's just the way I do it anyway.
Fair enough.
Lori, how about you?
I like him.
I wish I had a sponsor. I'm still kind of a noob. We're only one issue in, one Kickstarter under my belt, so we're getting there. Again, I'm just looking for people to build that relationship with and to get our name out there so people can find us, because I think that we have a really cool idea and a cool story, and we do other things besides comics, you know what I mean? So we have a whole experience that goes along, but if people don't know we exist, they can't play along. So
Yeah.
I'm just looking
Yeah.
for some people to get my name out there. That's
So,
about
Yeah.
it. Does that
so
answer your
let
question?
me go further into this a little bit, because
Yeah.
one of the things that's going on that happens when you reach out to a sponsor, and it really raised the question, is that they're saying, look, we're looking for people almost as ambassadors for reach, and they're not looking for sales of the book or of my show or anything like that. When in my philosophy, when I take on a sponsor for this show, and the reason why I relate it back to comics is that if I ever do a comic, and when I will, I'm interested in getting my book. I'm not interested in having 1 million people looking at my book. I want 1,000 people to read my book, or I want 2,000 people to read my book. And this is something that I think is very interesting right now, that a lot of critics, in my opinion, are struggling with, because there is a whole thing where if you reach 1 million people, you're going to get people to get your book, and eventually people
Right.
buy your book. But also at the same time, it's saying, look, though, if I know that if I post in a particular area that 50 people are going to click on my Kickstarter link and then purchase my book, like, how do you balance that? Because that's something that I think is a fascinating thing. I think a lot of people in comics right now are struggling with sort of balancing those two things. That's
Yeah,
just
because you
my
kind of
opinion.
need a foot in both worlds, right? It's like you need people to read the book, but you also need the backers. Go ahead, Chris. What are you
No,
thinking?
sorry. I was actually really upset about something like this earlier today, and I mean, fuming upset, but I didn't want to say anything. But now that you brought it up, let's do this. Throughout all of the different groups, I've seen maybe 5,000 or 6,000 members. Okay. Now, riddle me this. Let's figure with crossover, there's maybe 3,500, right? If each of those 3,500 gave the 7 to 10 new projects that launched this month $1, every single one of them would fund, they'd be out $10. Okay.
Yeah.
You see a lot of places that have members, groups, large followings, but you don't see the follow through. So that's my thing about, again, with sponsors, with anything, it's they can have millions of people in the world, like you were saying, but how many people are actually coming in to read it? How many people are coming in to support it? But yeah, and that's why I try to back, whenever I do these things, I try to back as many people as I can. I can't get everybody, but I do
Yeah.
try. Or like
Yeah.
with Taylor, I only just met you. So I mean, I didn't know that you were out there. So now I know, so I can go check your stuff.
Who, me?
Yeah.
Yep.
We met last time, Broham.
Did we? Look, sorry, I had a migraine all day, so I'm recovery.
He can't see out of one of his eyes. He's having a
Literally,
stroke.
Yeah.
I am blind.
Are you?
I didn't
Yeah,
know that.
yeah,
Nice.
yeah.
So
Cyclops.
I'll cut you a break
My dad
this
used to
time,
call
but
me
if it happens
Cyclops.
again, we're gonna have a problem.
Oh, just so awkward in this show.
No, honestly, I have the same problem. The Facebook groups are a pain in the ass because last year I backed 75 projects from people in Facebook groups, and you know how many of those people reciprocated?
How many?
None, not one.
I'm sorry.
Well, I don't count you, bro. But yeah, no, that's a real problem. And I mean, as far as reach or sales, it really depends on what I'm doing at the time. If I got a Kickstarter out, I want sales.
Mm-hmm.
Right, of course.
If I don't, like I'm planning on setting up a locals page next year or the year after. I'm not sure. I want to bank a whole shitload of content first.
Right.
So between now and then, it's going to be about reach, so that whenever I launch it, the most amount of people will see that it has launched.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, that's where I'm at now. It's like, sign up for the pre-launch, please.
Mhm.
Please.
Yep.
I did.
I know. Chris has signed up. Andrew.
See, that's the real pain in the ass with Kickstarter too, because since I haven't fulfilled the other book yet, they won't even let me launch a pre-launch page.
No.
Yeah.
I
It's a
tried
pain
that
in the
too
ass.
because I was like, I just want to get my thoughts and I want to get the stuff, start building that page because you got to
Mhm.
put all this shit in there. And then you have to make sure everything is set up and the shipping and the pricing and blah, blah, your add-ons.
So,
It takes
John,
time.
what we're talking about is the idea of, sales versus reach when you're launching a Kickstarter and dealing with a Kickstarter and when you're launching a book, and even just the balance that creators have to deal with, and how I think everybody in comics is right now dealing with that problem. So, I'm wondering what your opinion is on that.
Well, to Taylor's point, I was able to get, the day after one ended, I was able to get it approved because, I've had a dozen at this point that have been successful. So over time, they are a little bit more lenient with those things. They won't approve them while you have another one live. I did try that this time and they said no. But yeah.
They're like, settle down,
Yeah.
sir.
So I was able to get it approved right away so that while I was fulfilling the other one. Some people open multiple accounts to do that. I don't know. You can't do that.
Yeah, it's shady.
Yeah, I feel like it is too. But
We all know who's
shady.
doing it.
You
You
want the
all
most
know the
amount of
one.
people on your main one as possible.
yeah, and then you really do want to have one account. It's so
You don't
much
want to spread
manage.
that out.
Yeah, you want people to see what you're backing and what you're.
Hey, look who it is.
I just bullied my way onto the show.
Is that what happened? Jesus.
Nice.
Damn.
What's up,
You
Andrew?
gonna high five Andrew through the screen?
Welcome to the show, Pops. Welcome to the show.
I
You
was
missed
just
the part where Chris insulted Taylor and then I insulted Chris. It was good times.
Yeah.
And Chris actually insulted John before he even got here. because
Yeah.
That's
John
how
just
I actually
said-
pre-insulted. Yeah, it's just
A pre-insult? Is that a
he
word?
didn't even have to use your name. He just described what happened with your Kickstarter, and it was obviously about you.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna.
So now that we all hate each other,
False.
I don't.
I
hate
love
you. I like you
all
all.
of you. I love all of you.
See, I'm
Thanks, man.
with this guy over here.
Hey, I got to work real hard to be able to say that. So, you know.
yes. It's true. It's true.
What are you drinking, Andrew? What are you drinking?
Did
Not
you pour
enough.
it in a cup? Show him the can.
So it's ninjas versus unicorns, a double IPA.
Oh yeah.
Who's
Okay.
who's the brewery? Who makes that?
It's Pipeworks makes it, and
Ah.
Chicago, right?
what would you say?
I think it's in Chicago. I forget.
I think they are. I mean, they made a really good beer over Thanksgiving. It was like Cinnamon Invasion, and it was like ranked like the #2 beer on Thanksgiving, and that thing just puts you right to sleep. So if you don't like your family, you start drinking it during the Macy's, day parade. By like 4:00, you're feeling all a little groggy, but you're not too drunk. And you're like, oh man, I gotta go to sleep, and then you just sleep right through it, and then you sneak out at like 10:00 when everybody's asleep, and you heat up your turkey and all that stuff. You don't have to deal with your family. It's great. I may or may not.
I'll look for it.
I don't think we have that down here.
I'm very honest, but yeah. And then the other thing I want to talk about is what the hell is going on with like Backer Kit or Backer.
Do we have to?
Yeah, they took their dollar back. They ran away.
They're
I'm
done
saying
with. Are they
it's-
done with Kickstarter? They're working out independently now. Is that what's going on?
Yeah, they've launched their own version, so I think that was kind of their way of just kind of making.
They
it
had
cool.
to. Yeah,
Yeah,
I think-
can't
yeah,
really
So
I
it's
get
think-
their own-
competitor, right?
they were running their own crowdfunding.
Yeah. Instead of just where you can fulfill through them or whatever. Now
Yeah.
they're doing their own crowdfunding.
Is it just called
Check it
Backer
out.
Kit? What's it called?
Yeah. No, it isn't. I'll look it up.
Backer launch, is it Backer Kit launch or something like that?
Yeah, it's launched. That's it. Yeah.
I was gonna say they'd be stupid to get rid of the Backer Kit affiliation. So
Yeah.
Okay.
Then they can double dip and get you to do the fulfillment afterwards. Yep.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Introducing crowdfunding by Backer Kit.
Sounds kind of backwards.
Backwards, yeah, just a little.
Yeah, a little bit of bass backwards.
Besides that, I got to promote Critical Blast when it comes to
Yeah.
fulfillment. That's if you're going outside of your house to fulfill your campaign. There's nobody doing it better than RJ. And I mean, your freaking books will come in a Gemini in a protective plastic bag so
Wow,
that your stuff don't get wet, don't get messed up. It gets where it's supposed to go, and it's affordable.
So
It
wait,
really is
so back
affordable.
up.
He,
So
he's
you would have to
brought
send.
shipping down to make it really affordable to use his service.
So you ship all your stuff to him, and then he
Mhm.
takes it
that
from there.
that usually the printer would ship it straight to him.
I would say, yeah, like when you order it, you would ship it instead of shipping it
And,
to you.
and he has a printer now that he makes available to you that's on all of the continents that you're trying to sell books on. So the books will be printed right there on
But how
the
do they get signed
Australian
copies
island
then?
or in the UK or whatever. And he's got
That's
hubs
interesting.
Mm-hmm.
How does he deal with like signed copies? So if you're promising like a signed comic, how does he get that? Do they have to come to me first? I have to
You're
sign
going to
them and then
have
ship
to
them to
have
him?
that amount of comics signed and sent to him. He can't do nothing until he's got them, right?
You could
That
Yeah.
would
forge your
kind of be
signature,
on
you know.
you.
If your signature is pretty easy, you could probably
Yeah.
scribble.
Or send those.
He could forge it. It's cool.
Yeah, that's what I do. How I
See,
got
That's why I don't
started.
sign my comics. Don't have to worry about any of that shit. You don't want. It brings the value down anyway.
This is what I'm saying. If I was going to do autographed comics or signed comics, I would do a limited quantity of it and give them a value. I wouldn't just sign every freaking book goes out the door. You
No.
know what I mean? It's like, okay, I'll sign 20 books. The first 20 people that back at this tier, I will sign 20 books.
Yep.
You know, or whatever. I'd make them rare. I'd give them a reason to be worth more. I wouldn't just like he said, ruin the value of every book I fucking put out there, right?
It's interesting because I mean I don't know how many guys and everybody who saw last night had the Bushwhackers on, the legendary tag team, the Bushwhackers, and what they're doing is that they have a book plate, and so given that both those guys have never really signed together, I mean you have to pay extra for that signature, but you also have to realize that one of them is in New Zealand, the other's in Florida, and it does make that signature more valuable. And I think that to some degree, it protects the value, and also, I personally want my book signed because it's a personal cool item. And I think that that's something that's really interesting in comics right now. As not even on the collectible side, but just as a fan, I think when you have exclusivity, that really does dictate. I think that's what separates Kickstarter from going to your LCS. Because a lot of indie books now are going into LCSs, either through Diamond or Lunar. And so I could pick up, we had Dolan on the Madness, and his book, Born of Blood, is now going through Lunar. So you could pick that book up in your local comic shop. But on Kickstarter, I could have him sign it. And so I think that's something that really changes the value to some degree.
Well, I'm just saying, if you sign everything that goes out the door,
Then
not really giving value to the signature.
The book plates are kind of cool and they're easy to ship. They're lighter. So it's really good.
Yeah, so that's interesting. But that raises another question: is that do you guys think there's too many crowdfunding stuff out there, sites right now? Or do you think that the more is the merrier?
Look, when people see success, they follow the trends. Okay, as long as there's people buying comics on crowdfunding platforms, there's going to be people putting comics on crowdfunding platforms. There's going to be more people trying to create crowdfunding platforms. As long as there's money going into them, there will be people trying to take advantage
they
of
take
them.
the
or
cut,
make
don't
money
they?
off
There's
them.
always
Yeah.
that fee attached,
Well,
You wouldn't believe
and
how
then they
many
float the money.
ever since I was talking, remember I said something about Crom Hub the other day because of that piece of art that Q did? Okay, and he wrote Crom Hub, and he was like, it's like word porn. It's like comic porn. It's Crom Hub, right? And I was like, oh, man, we got to get that domain name. We got to grab that, right?
mhm.
Just for, if nothing else, for a funny marketing fucking campaign or something, right? We need to get that. You know how many emails I've gotten about website development since I said that live on my show?
Yeah.
Lots.
About 40.
Jesus.
Big
Just because
brother.
I said I want to acquire a certain, domain name, I just got inundated with freaking web designers. I never had that. I always have the other things, but I never had the web designers. It's always the people wanting to promote what I do, and it's like, do you not know what I do? I promote what everybody else does.
Well,
I'm interested what other people think, because it does seem like there's a lot, and I'm sure not all of them will last. But even somebody like myself who backs a lot of crowdfunding, like sometimes when I go into like Fundraiser or these other sites that are starting to come up, and I'm not really familiar with the interface, it doesn't really make me want to like stick around. As much as Kickstarter can be clunky, Indiegogo, they're pretty nicely laid out.
Well, yeah.
So yeah, I mean, sometimes you don't even know. Like I've seen a lot of campaigns struggle. They're good campaigns; they should be doing well, but people just aren't backing them. So there has to be some level that we're reaching where there's just too many of them.
I'm seeing this. I'm seeing like Zoop. I'm seeing a lot of people saying, "Yeah, I'm going to put a book on Zoop. I'm going to try Zoop." I've been doing this for 3 years. I've never seen one person unbox a book that they've received by backing a book on Zoop. Never one. Not one.
I mean,
so I have a hard time promoting Zoop because I have not seen any results from Zoop.
Yeah. I mean, I could tell you on a personal level, I feel very comfortable on Kickstarter. I backed one project on Indiegogo, and I just don't feel comfortable with Indiegogo's, I guess, layout. And so if there's a great project on Indiegogo, to convince me to back it on Indiegogo, it's a little because I just don't feel as comfortable. Now, if that same project is on
I don't know why. I get all my books that I back on Indiegogo. I haven't had none of them that haven't fulfilled or kept me updated with what's going on with their campaign.
No. For me, it's just a layout issue where we're not even talking about the actual context of the project.
Then you're not even giving the project a chance. You're condemning it because of the platform it's on.
If you look at an example, so there's apps that I just think, and they're funky to me to look at. So that's the thing. So if I don't feel comfortable before we even it's kind of like if you go to a door of a store and you don't feel comfortable to walk in, you're not going to shop there. And that's what I think the problem is with all these crowdfunders beyond Indiegogo. Zoop and
Zoop is real. Zoop feels real clunky. Like it's not even clear where you click to buy. Like there's like a plus sign.
I can show results from Indiegogo. Yeah. I can show you a stack of books that I've received backing campaigns on Indiegogo and another stack of campaigns on Kickstarter.
Yeah, like I feel like Indiegogo's interface is friendly. Like it has like featured products. I feel like their interface is good, but Andrew's point is valid. When you're comfortable with one website, sometimes you just go there. We go to Amazon for the same reason, right? They sell the other shit.
People that are the other way too. There's people that are the other way too. They won't back Kickstarter because Kickstarter won't promote IP or won't protect IPs. Yeah. When you see Kickstarter launch a campaign with Peter Cimetti's book, and Peter Cimetti ain't the one freaking launching the campaign, and they're not even looking that this is an alternate comic. This is not like some one-timer that nobody's ever heard of. This is Peter freaking Cimetti, and Kickstarter doesn't realize that this is a fake campaign. Wait a minute. They charge you guys 10%. They have an approval process that you have to go through, but they can put a campaign up that can get $12,000 before they realize it isn't even a legit campaign. Okay, so there's a reason that people don't like Kickstarter too. I'm not comfortable shopping there if they're not protecting my IP as a creator.
And I don't disagree.
You know what I'm saying? So you can find reasons not to promote or back both platforms, but then you're just hurting the creators. Look at the freaking book, then decide if you want to buy it or not, no matter where it is, right? Look at the book. Don't hurt the creator because of the platform they're trying to sell on.
Yeah, Andrew.
I did have it where because I built up the board games on Kickstarter, those Kickstarter guys were not comfortable going over to Indiegogo, so they wouldn't back. So I did fund on Indiegogo, but then I also put out the campaign on Kickstarter after.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
some people have said go reverse, do your Kickstarter and then do an Indiegogo where you can go in demand and just leave it ride.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's not a bad idea.
That's how a lot of people do it. I mean, to me, I'm just saying make sure you cover both platforms because you got some, just like Andrew just said, you got some people that won't use the other platform, no matter how good your book is.
Right. Like you just said,
Okay.
you're hesitant
You
to
know,
use it.
so by all means, cover them both.
But
man.
I think to Andrew's point, that's what we're saying. Now when there's 8 of them, it's really now you're spreading it all over the place, you know?
Yeah, well, like again, I got to see results from some of these other ones before I will actually promote them.
I mean, I don't even know what's on Zoop. I don't know what's on Funrise.
Exactly.
Funrise
Until I see somebody going, look what I got today, and opening a box that came from Zoop, that
Right.
came from a campaign on Zoop, I can't promote it because I've never seen one.
Right. I got
That
my
makes
first book
you
from
know,
there, crime book called 33. Was really good, but yeah, they're very selective on what they're putting out, because they don't want to overexpand. They might be a small operation, so it'll take some time.
I
It's
just
not like
want
Kickstarter
somebody-
where there's 100 products.
I just want somebody to hold one up and go, look what I got from today through Zoop, so I can go, oh, it actually fucking exists.
Next time I get one, I'll send you a picture.
I don't know what Zoop is, but it's a really dumb name.
It's
Well,
another
I'm
Sounds like I
crowdfunding
should buy a
platform.
soup there. Like you go
It's
there for
not
lunch.
I'm just going to run my Kickstarters
Delicious.
this year, and then at the end of the year, I'm going to do one campaign with all my books on Indiegogo.
Yeah, that's
Nice.
There you go.
subscription
So.
at the end of the year or something. Yeah. That's a
Yeah.
great idea.
I mean,
I
like
tried to do that last year and it kind of epically failed, but I'm still getting used to it after 12 years.
As long as the Kickstarter's successful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
That's-
no.
That's all I try to do is make sure what you guys do becomes successful, gets seen by as many eyes as possible, and that's where that other thing comes into play. Big sexy pops want me to sign my underwear. Yeah, I want you to send out them big beautiful orange boxers to all your backers, bro.
I was waiting till you saw that one. I was waiting till you saw it.
What?
There's so many jokes that I can make, and I really don't
It's
want
your
to
show,
go there.
brother. It's your
We
show.
probably made them.
I could take it to a new level. After yesterday, there's a whole new level.
Yep, I'm still here.
Are you?
Yeah.
Just remember, there's the lady present. Yeah, I don't really count, but I mean,
Once you put the
No,
knife
I'm
down, I
like
stopped paying attention.
hanging up on myself over
Yeah.
here. Woo!
I don't think we crossed the line yet. I don't think I
Not
did.
yet. No, you've been good. I was just like, just remember. Just remember. But when it happens, and it will, because
Remember
Andrew's
who the
drinking it
star
for
is.
an IPA, I'll make sure I chime in.
I'm behaving today. I'm behaving.
I noticed.
It's been a tough
We got a
day.
big
It's been
crew,
tough.
so that's what happens.
Hey, I've had a
I'm going
big
through
week.
background check right now for a job, and they're taking forever. And they're like, "Oh, you could start on the 29th," but they didn't tell me my background check is approved. I don't think I have a felon yet, so
You would know.
You forgot about that busload of nuns you ran out the road.
He said, "I don't think I have a felony yet." Is that what
Like,
you
I
said?
don't think
That
I'm
they-
a
that they
felon
know
either.
of.
I don't know. We could check. But I'm pretty
I'm
sure
still
that I'm
in-
not.
I'm still in the pre-trial phase. I haven't been convicted yet.
Do you want to hear a funny felony story?
Sure.
I'll give you
They're
some-
always the best. So I went to apply for a teaching job, right? And keep in mind, I went to this school and I had taught there before. So they bring me in and they say, we can't have you teaching here anymore. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? Well, you have 19 pages of felonies. I'm like,
They finally caught you.
yeah,
forgot.
apparently,
Pages.
and I didn't tell Pops because I have the felonies down in Georgia and Florida. And I'm like, well, we're going to Georgia, so if I get busted, we're going to be, But yeah, it turns out somebody had stolen my identity, got these 19 felonies, like drug running, kidnapping a police officer, all kinds of great stuff. So I am OG down in like Georgia and Florida.
And,
Adam
and
Sandler
here he is. Now hold up. This is the best part. He's
This is a
riding with
comic
Harold
book
and
making
Kumar.
right here.
he's
Did you
he's
run
riding
into-
with me. I've been convicted
Neil
twice
Patrick
for
Harris on the way?
drugs.
He like
Okay.
commandeers your car, steals a cop.
No, you don't understand. For
Sorry.
him, it's all fake background. for me, I've actually been in prison for selling weed and for
Well,
weed.
we don't have to go
So
there. If you
I'm
don't
the
want
guy
to.
that's going to get dragged out the car and taken to jail. They're going to forget about him and send him back home going, oh, we're sorry, we got the wrong guy. But this guy's going to prison at Dorchester. See?
So,
Pretty
so
sure you'd both go, but that's
I got
Yeah,
a funny story about identity theft.
they weren't going to outrun Silver Lightning.
I got a great story about identity theft. So my identity got stolen 6 months ago. A week later, they gave it back to me.
I had a feeling that joke was going there.
I fell for it. I didn't think you said.
But there you go. There's your moment.
Almost got him to spit it out. Almost.
It was close.
Yep.
It's almost as good as palming an Oreo. Has anybody actually ever seen somebody palm an Oreo in their mouth? It's the most amazing magic trick I've ever seen.
Do it.
Hell,
Yeah, you can't just say
Andrew,
it.
do
Hey,
it.
don't be afraid. Do it.
no, I
Get
did
one.
not want to do it.
Is that a
You
felony?
brought it up. You
Is
gotta
that a
do
felony?
it.
I got Oreos around here somewhere.
Show me, don't tell me.
Do it. Come on, this would be the most epic video.
No, I can't do it right now. I think I have
Do
no
it, Andrew.
I mean, I
By the end of the night, you need to do it.
no, it's gonna end badly. It's gonna end badly. It's gonna be like,
I mean, it's going to end with you choking to death, but it'll probably be the most
Yeah,
I don't
views
want you
you'll
to
ever
die.
get.
I was saying, either way, you're getting views.
Yeah, it'll be a lot of views, bro.
Let's get our
It'll be
campaign
good for
links in
all
the
of
chat.
us.
Yeah, right. Well,
yeah, right.
Think of the guests.
Yeah, think of us.
This will be the TikTok for everybody.
Stop being
Guys,
selfish.
Oh, we could totally turn it into
On
a
it.
TikTok. Andrew
I will make a
choking him.
TikTok account just to put it up.
Mm-hmm.
We love you,
The
Andrew.
last
we
day
swear.
of
We
Andrew
don't,
Davis.
we're not asking you to die on.
And
I
neither
mean,
tick
you're not
nor
on
talk.
it.
I am.
But it's like the most amazing thing if you can figure it out. It's like sleight of tongue. It's super cool.
Sleight of tongue. This is a children's show.
I may or may not have stolen a lot of stuff.
John's like, and good night. That's enough, internet.
But enough about palming Oreos because I don't want to get into where my
Palming
cookies
Oreos and sleight of tongue. Where is this gone?
Hey, I'm just saying. After last night, I mean, I can only go down.
Jesus Christ.
Phrasing. Boom.
Yeah, this is getting to a weird place. There's a woman on this.
Yeah, I don't count. But that's
I didn't say anything bad. I said it can only go down. I mean, clearly, my show has reached its apex.
Andrew doesn't care.
I was talking about Chris.
Thank you.
Ouch.
That's okay.
I self-identify as a sexy beast.
Yeah, I don't really know what's going on. I don't know why people are still watching this. I'm not that. Like, this is like the highest view all week.
Are you not entertained?
Yeah, this is what people tune in for. They don't care about the comic stuff.
It's because I'm here, Andrew.
I'll be back in a minute.
Exactly.
Lori with the knives. Lori with the knives and the comics. And the Funko Pops that Andrew doesn't like or care about.
No, I'm not really into baseball cards. I'm into other things
Baseball cards.
too. What
I'm
I
not
think
into fuzzy
card
puppies. I don't know.
I love collecting cards. It's like the most tranquil thing I've done in the last 6 months. It's just so peaceful. You open up like the wrapper and you rip it. It's just so peaceful.
You
It's so
smell
nice.
them.
It's almost as good as
Smell the
fruit.
cards.
For me, it's Magic the Gathering cards.
Oh, hey, John came back.
I gave all mine away.
I didn't want you all to see me picking my nose.
Mm. Yeah, so I got nothing, guys. So what do you got going on?
No, I'm sure.
We have a
Did we do the
huge weekend.
roll call of people's campaigns? Because a lot of people on here, I don't know what they're launching. I do follow Taylor on.
Yeah,
Twitter.
John, what do you have going on? Because I gave everybody a chance to promote themselves, and you have a very interesting book. I didn't actually get to read what you sent me, but I like your first book, which is Deep Power. because it's almost a reverse superhero, and it's got like an Astro City vibe to it. And so I really like your book with Deep Power because I think it's such an interesting take on what happens when super heroes lose their powers, and then how do you deal with those problems.
Well, thank you. Yeah, that issue is we're finally on to issue 2 after some failures that I had mentioned earlier with some crowdfunding, but we're getting that issue 2 going soon. But my current project is Drumsticks of Doom issue 2 out in September. Issue 2 will launch. We had a very successful, my most successful Kickstarter in 12 years of doing this. So
Nice.
very
Holy
happy
shit.
that we're on to issue 2.
I just realized who you were.
Sometimes I wake up and do the same thing.
Well, I've talked to you a couple times.
Yeah, we've talked.
See, and you made fun of me for not remembering our last one.
Well, he
I
doesn't have a picture on his profile, so I
Right.
don't know what he looked like.
How old are you guys? You're not old enough for this memory loss that's going on tonight.
I'm
like,
30, but I got 4 kids, so I might as well be 50
Yeah.
at this
well,
point.
this is true.
And I go by different
And that
names on
still
social media,
falls
so
way
I know
short of where I'm at. So.
that becomes a challenge, keeping track of who everybody really is.
Well, you guys
Y'all
gotta
are a
remember
bunch
me.
of young
That's all I gotta
pups.
say.
That's what y'all are. Bunch of pups. Bunch of young
Right.
pups. All of you.
Lori, I will remember you strictly because I'm afraid you're going to stab somebody. I keep thinking you live in a high crime area and someone's about to burst in your door.
If she lived in a high crime area, I pity everybody on the street, man.
Planet
No.
Earth is a high crime
Just-
area. You better be ready.
Who I
If she
am.
lived in a high crime area,
Maybe
she'd
just
be
have a bitch.
ninjaing
I don't
around
know.
at night.
I've been practicing martial arts for 26 years. I always have a weapon.
See,
Oh.
she'd
I'm
be
into it.
ninja around. She'd ninja around every night, taking out the rapists and the bad guys in the hood. If she
She
lived
is
in
the
a
weapon.
crappy hood,
People
You
don't see
know.
me coming. That's always the joke. It's like, okay, if we were ever in a fight and the 6 of us were in a room, you guys would all distract him and I'd sneak around behind and then never mind. Keep it a secret.
I'll be hiding in the frozen food aisle. Thank you very much.
I know.
I'm the one that sneaks behind and takes care of the business while they're not paying attention.
I know I hate to say this, but I do have to go because I got a whole bunch of preparation to do for this weekend show where I will be talking to about
Yeah,
40
what
or
do you got
50
going on
people.
this weekend?
We got CromCon, bro.
Yeah,
Friday night we're launching
tomorrow.
Morgan Quaid's book. Saturday we start at noon. We go all freaking day. Sunday we start at noon. We go all freaking day.
I just want to make this crystal clear. It's not like you got Chris or Lori on, right, this weekend.
I'm sure both of them will be there. Yes.
I was gonna say, remind me what time
It's a joke. It was a
Yeah, of
joke.
course. I know we're on the madness all the time.
Yeah.
I
But I want to talk to John and Taylor. So I never get to talk to you guys. So
What?
talk comics. Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't get to talk to you guys. Pops,
I know.
we love you.
I love you too, baby doll.
Rose, welcome on my show,
Tomorrow.
Pops.
Bye, Pops. Nice to meet you.
My favorite Michigan lady up over there, Chris, our wonderful sponsor on the madness. Love you, bro. You know what's up. Andrew, always entertaining, my friend. John, I think I've met you before.
We have.
I
I've been
have,
on.
yeah.
I've been on the madness.
Yes.
Once.
And Taylor, it's good to meet you, man.
Nice
And,
to meet
and
you,
these
bud.
guys will clue you into what I do and tell you where to find me.
All right.
Madness
Yeah, I'm
Comic
gonna
on Twitter if you do that
Before
Twitter.
Pops go,
I'll add you.
what he does is that he is a comic activist. So he wants your project to succeed and do well. And that's what the whole madness is for in a lot of ways. And it's also to be entertaining, and it's also a blast for you because if you're a Life One comic fan, you get to talk to comic people. What could be better, right?
Networking and promoting. That's what we do. You guys have a great
Mhm.
night. I'll see y'all tomorrow night for sure.
See you, boss.
We're going
Peace.
Pops. So going further into this, and now that the show's back on track after BRN,
Sorry.
get another one.
Choo choo.
So I'm very curious about this. Where do you guys see even crowdfunding going? Because right now I am backed out of crowdfunding because it's no longer going back to school, and so money's tight. But I've seen a lot of projects do well, and I'm now also starting to see projects not do so well. And I'm starting to. It's almost like you either are going to kill it, where people 2 years ago couldn't barely make their goal, and now they're slaying it. But then other projects are doing really shitty, for lack of a better word. And so What do you think is going on with crowdfunding? Because it's really a weird position, I feel, right now.
Let's go first.
Let's go with John.
Yeah.
I'll go first. I think crowdfunding is solidly here for the near future. I think it helps creators like ourselves get our projects out there in ways that we would never be able to. But I do think you're right, Andrew. It has changed. I think, the times 10, 15 years ago when buddies of mine like Steve Bryant, and Dan Doherty raised $25,000 on Kickstarter may not happen as much for the indie people because there's so many projects coming out all the time now, especially the last few years. I feel like everybody's coming out with their passion project. We were all, on quarantine or whatever and struggling. And we really just want to, get our projects out there before we, get taken from this mortal coil. So I think you're seeing a lot of that now. That will die down eventually. Not everybody can hang for a lot of reasons, family, life, things happen. But right now you're really seeing an increase in it. So it does kind of thin things out. But I think if people are realistic with their goals, if they don't go in with, $15,000 goal for their first project, I think if they're realistic, you can anybody can make a couple $1,000s with a good product by fulfilling, by, being honest with their backers. You can easily, start any project on there. But I do think that the days of the big indie projects may not be there for a while.
Can I say something?
Oh, yeah.
Go ahead,
Yeah, you don't have to ask. You just say it.
Oh no, I was pointing to you.
Oh, me? Okay. I was just going to say, it's
I'm
like
just taking over Andrew's job of telling people to go.
telling who's next.
Mhm.
I think that I'm seeing more and more of the large projects come on too, where it's like Berserker, and you know what I mean? And like some of these other projects that it's like, they just raise millions of dollars. The DC deck building game, or it's just like, they're just these monster projects that are on Kickstarter. And I'm honestly asking myself, why are they doing that? Like they have enough money. Keanu could pay for this. Like, what are they doing? So it's like when we have to compete with those kind of, creators, it's like, what? I don't understand. I mean, like, yeah, it's great that it's a free place and anybody can come, but it's like us competing with Netflix. You know what I mean? It's like, it doesn't make any sense. Where it's like, to me, I want to go to Kickstarter and I want to see those indie creators. I want to see those people that I haven't had exposure to because they're so new, like myself. It's like, I want to see what else is out there. Because there's some great ideas and there's new stuff and things moving in different directions and genre blending. And, it's like my comic kind of is a new take on the zombie genre, which is like Jump the Shark. So it's like, we want to do something new. We want to see new stuff, but it's like when you're competing against like Keanu Reeves and these guys that have been in the business for 30, 40 years, it's like, there's no way we can compete with that.
Yeah.
You know I don't
like
know.
douche,
I just saw that as a trend, and I don't know if that's really affecting us or if it's just something that we see, but it's like, why are you here?
I didn't want to sound like a douche, but I feel the exact same way.
Okay.
I love Keanu Reeves, but I was like, dude, what the fuck?
Like, why do you need our money
crazy.
to do this? You're a millionaire. But like, what were they trying to do? I think there was the comic book, and then there was also, weren't they filming?
I think he's already making
anime,
it into
right?
a movie or a show.
Yeah, I think that's what the money was going towards. But again, can't you just pitch it to Netflix? Like,
yeah, it's nuts.
He's Keanu Reeves. Them, spread it, and then they get the money directly. So it's like raising their own money rather than going through the publishing house. So like Power Rangers from Boom went to Kickstarter. And there has to be a reason. They're cutting out the middlemen, so they can make that extra 20-30% off of it.
But also, I'm going to be
Boom Studios. I mean, they have a publisher. So again, it's like, what was the need for that? This book would have been done no matter what.
She's like, I hate this damn book, but I bought this shit.
I did.
Yeah, I was just thinking the same thing.
My husband backs.
You divorced him, right?
Everything, which is, I'm not complaining because, of course, did I want to see it? Absolutely. Am I a Keanu fan? Absolutely. Was it hilarious because there's like 18 different pictures of sad Keanu in here? Absolutely. It's like they all did a variant cover with sad Keanu, and it's like, oh, now it makes sense with the story. But I mean, like, if you look at these guys, their bios are just insane. So that's why I'm like, I don't know why you have to Kickstarter anything.
He doesn't need to come to Kickstarter. But I do think, if you look on there any given month, though, like look on there now, what's the big projects that are on there, as far as comics?
I don't know.
I think as long as there's not too many, I think it can only help the little guys, because the people coming to
Bring
back
more
Keanu
people.
are signing up for Kickstarter. So they're getting the alerts, they're getting on the email list. They're going to see your campaign in the, hey, you should also back this down the road. As long as there's not, 50 of them to compete with every month, I do think it can help grow Kickstarter. And I think that's what it's about. Kickstarter approaches them and says, hey, we'll give you a better cut of the deal because they want to bring you into their system too. And that's what Kickstarter does really well. So I do think as long as there's not, again, 20 Keanu and Wesley Snipes books on there every month.
Yeah, I was just going to say,
think
there's the Wesley one coming next.
I can at least understand that. That dude's got a lot of back taxes to pay.
Yeah, oh yeah.
I don't know if that's going to Kickstarter, though, is it? Is it going to crowdfund?
I think it already did.
Yeah, I think it did.
Adam was supposed to be on my show, too, which was annoying.
Ask your husband. He probably bought it.
He probably did.
Was the hardest part when you had to serve him divorce papers over that book?
No, I was like, you did what? You backed what? Okay, I'll read it. I was like, are you done yet? I want to read it next.
So let me ask you a question, because I think
The Exiled by Wesley Snipes. Yeah, funded it.
What?
Get it on Backer Kit right now.
I was going to say, where is it on?
Now it's on Backer Kit, but it was on Kickstarter for a while.
So I
did not even see it. I must have
about all
out. I don't know. That's nuts.
So
$25 for a digital edition.
Fuck.
He has back taxes to pay.
That's what I see. He's like, fucking government's coming after me. I gotta go.
He's like, I better get it all, because they're gonna come take it anyway.
So guys, get this. I got Tom Hutchinson coming on, and this guy's like a legend. So I found say something before everything. I don't know, Tom. You know this book?
The book is a legend. I am not.
Those headphones are a legend.
I was going to say,
like,
I love the
want
introduction,
those.
and then you come on with those headphones.
That's
That was
awesome.
amazing.
I'm slightly
This is
jealous.
Thomas
of
coming
it.
on Saturday. On my
Proud
show.
of you guys.
Yeah, I wasn't. I was done for the evening. I was chilling out. I was watching Moonraker. I'm doing a little James Bond binge of late, so I'm on Moonraker tonight. And then he shoots me a message. He's like, I'm doing this hangout thing. I'm like, I don't know what a hangout is, man. I'm 51. I don't know what a hangout is. So, I'm thinking like Google Hangouts or something. So I'm like, yeah, okay. And then he shoots me the StreamYard link, and I get excited because I know what StreamYard is. So awesome. Here we go.
So for those who don't know, Tom is Big Dog Inc. He is the founder. He's the writer for a bunch of it. Books a lot of cool covers, a lot of fantastic work. What is it? 17 years now, or is it 13?
Well, at 12 and a half. We're going next year. Will be 13 for us. Yeah.
So I was off by 4, but that's not the point here. Maybe this beer should be my last.
It's dog years, right? Times it by 7.
But what Tom is doing right now that's super interesting, and you can tell by the background, is he's actually doing a book for Dynamite, which is Bad Kitty.
Yeah.
And so that's something that's very cool, and that's something that I think you wanted to do. And the reason why Big Dog Inc., and not to put words in your mouth, was formed was because you couldn't really get into a major publisher, and then you built your own. And now you're
basically
doing it reverse.
Yeah, yeah. Found our way in through the back door somehow, really. But yeah, when I started wanting to do comics, I mean, well over 12 years ago now, I did the whole thing. I made comics. I pitched to the people you're supposed to pitch to in the manner that you're supposed to pitch. I think we sent out like half a dozen, pitches for our book, Penny for Your Soul. Of those 6, we got 1 response back. Not even no's. I didn't even get no's. That was kind of really what irked me. I didn't even get a no. But there was one publisher who was like, look, we kind of have something that's in the same vein. We don't want to double up on it, but we like what this is. And I'm like, I get it. I appreciate it. Thank you for just giving me something. So I know a lot of people who get their rejection letters, right? And they're like, frame them on the wall. And they're like, hey, I got a no from Image Comics or whatever. I didn't even get no's. So I was like, all right, screw you guys. And that kind of put the chip on the shoulder. And I the door opened for me in an awkward way because I had a job that I was doing, my 9-to-5 job, and I got laid off from that. And that was where it was like, okay, what do I have? What is this good? Does anyone care? Am I able to do this? Let me take the dive. And that was 12 years ago now, 12 and a half years. And we've been doing nothing but comics ever since. So yeah.
And he's what everybody should be in this group. I'm telling you right now, because Tom is a great example of what indie does. I think on average your campaigns do 25,000. I think now plus on average.
Yeah, I mean the thing with us that's kind of weird and different than a lot of people that do crowdfunding is because we've been doing this for 12 years. I have like literally like a dozen different titles, from superheroes to westerns to horror to fantasy to kaiju to jungle. I mean, it's like we're just everywhere. So what we've found that happens is we'll start a campaign for a given product, and it'll hit a number. Let's say it hits 15,000, and then we'll do another issue and it'll do a little more. We'll do another issue, we'll do a little more, and so on. And it'll grow as you do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. But then when you're done with that and you start over again and you're like, okay, well, now we're going to go do this title. You kind of feel like, well, yeah, those 600 people, they should like carry over, and like, you know, everybody who likes Penny for Your Soul should come over to Legend of Oz. No, that does not happen. You start again, basically at the same thing. We did about 15,000, and then the next issue we did more. The next issue we did more, and then started again. So it's kind of this weird. You're always starting at the bottom of the ladder again, and sort of building individual audiences for each of these books, because really that's what we have. Is each book, there is some crossover, there is some Venn diagram for that, but you know, not everybody that likes horror, like for Ursa Minor that we're doing right now, like superheroes, right? So there's not as much crossover for like Critter and Ursa Minor as there's for some other things. So that's just one of those little idiosyncrasies to crowdfunding that you know, that we've discovered, and you know, now that we understand it, it's less heartbreaking when you have to start over with a new title. But you know, it is what it is.
And then Tom did something that everybody is annulled by, I think is a good word, and slightly is trying to figure out how to do it as well. But you did an action figure as an indie, and that's a whole different thing. And on that note, you take over. I'm going to grab myself another beer.
All right. Yeah, we did an action figure in January, a crowdfunded action figure. So not like, there's been a lot of guys that have done action figures like what do they call it, 3D printing stuff, things like that. This is like an actual, like, quote unquote legitimate, you know, articulated thing. The same company that does stuff for like Coffin Comics and Lady Death figures and things like that, Dynamite actually uses them as well. So they came to me last year and they were like, so is it time to do figures? I was like, yo, it was time to do figures 5 years ago, guys. But yes, it's time to do figures now. So we talked about it, thought about how to kind of do something simple that would, you know, not break the bank as far as like design and actual production of like millions of pieces or anything. So we went very simple. We did our superhero character called Critter. And because of the way that her costume is designed, we were able to make one mold but do 2 paint schemes on it. So that allows us to sell basically 2 figures without raising the cost of, without having to do another entire mold of a figure, which is, you know, that's a lot of money. Yeah. So that's what we did, and we needed $35,000 to do it, and we pulled it off in January. It was pretty amazing. So
that's
we're
cool. Good job.
Just about, yeah. We're just about to have these things in full production too.
Cool.
Just like everyone else in the world, they've had, you know, supply chain issues with plastics and all kinds of stuff. But they're at the stage now where they have steel molds, which is what they make the actual final figure out of. And they're kind of, you know, making sure everything's shaved down properly and there's not weird extraneous stuff. And then once that's finalized, they're in full production. And they were telling us that they were hoping to have it done October-ish, so a couple more months, which is crazy. Because if I could get them out before Christmas for everybody, I would love that. I will bust my ass if they show up in November to make sure everybody gets their Critter figures by December. But yeah, it was wild, but what was, to me, the cool part was not just that that Big Dog Inc. has a toy, like that's great, but it's the wider scope of it, right? It's that these guys have been working with Dynamite on things like Vampirella and Purgatory, and they're working with Lady Death. I mean, they're doing real high profile licensed things. And then here we come, this little, dozen-year-old company saying, "Hey, we want a toy too." And I think that the success of it can potentially open the door for anybody else that wants to do something like this, because now the template's there, right? It's not a matter of existing for a couple of years and then making a toy, barring your IP blowing up, of course, which can happen, certainly. It's building a brand, being consistent, having a fan base, and then, you have the number. It's like, we're going to make 500 of this version, and we're going to make 500 of this version, and it's going to cost us $35,000. There's your numbers. So you have to be able to assume you can attack those types of numbers, and then, like Larry Higgins, the guy I know, does a book called Niobe. It's like, it's not impossible for Larry to get a Niobe figure made, assuming that the company is willing to do the molds and do the prototype.
Or another name out there, Larry Welts just did Cherry Pop, and that was a figure that was just done this year too. So
yeah.
At this point, this is now, when two people do it, there's going to be a third one with somebody.
Right.
There's going to be a fourth at some point.
Yeah, Tim Seeley's doing it for Hack Slash, and you are seeing it a little bit more.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and it's right now it's meaningless. It's not meaningless, I should say, but it's until they're actually on my table at a Comic-Con. That's when the perception changes, because that's when people are walking down Artist Alley or whatever, and they're like, "Oh, comics. Hey, that guy's got a toy. What is that?" That changes the perception of what your company is, what your IP is, what, oddly enough, like, what your merch changes, what your value is to, like, other companies. So, like, if they can see, oh, Executive Replicas did Critter toys, I can now take that over to, like, Funko and be like, make a Critter Pop. Look what we did over here. Who knows what door that could open in that regard. So, and then again, it's the doors open for everybody at this point, because now it's been shown it can be done. Yes, it took 11 years, of Critter existing for us to get to that point, but it can be done, and I think that's really. Okay, I'm going to shut up here in a minute, I promise. But, like, there's another really exciting part of this, because the guys at Executive Replicas, they have their own we did the Kickstarter for what we needed, but they have their own sales channels as well. Big Bad Toy Store, like Awesome Collector, things like that, just like internet stores that they have sales channels to as well. And so they took one version of it. I didn't let them do both versions, because one of them was a Kickstarter exclusive, but the other one I let them take, and I said, yeah, go ahead, like, see what you can do as far as this goes. This is a character that is basically non-existent to the general populace. They came up with another 1,000 orders for this through these toy stores. And when I went and researched the collectors of these types of toys, these guys were, like, crazy excited that an independent figure had been made. Like, they were used to seeing things that they had already seen, but now all of a sudden there's like, wow, what is this critter? Who is Big Dog Inc? This is really cool looking. Awesome. And they were excited to get this figure, even though they had no idea what it was. And so again, that's another thought process of, like, the doors just can blow open if you can get things in the right eyeballs at the right time. And so Executive Replicas not only just made my figure, but they opened the doors to all those other markets, to now Big Dog Inc. in general. Like, there's Big Dog Inc. logos on the box. So even though it's a Critter box, it'll say Big Dog Inc. It'll have bigdoginc.com on it. And all the people that buy that figure, if they're curious enough, they can go figure out what Big Dog Inc. is. And then, again, the doors open again. Well, what figure do you want to do next? And so on.
It's a very cool story to hear. I started about the same time as Tom. I remember seeing Big Dog Inc. Tables, early C2E2s and things like that. So it's cool to see where the brand has gone. Unfortunately, to make it about myself,
please go ahead.
I also wanted to go down the same path. I said publishers do not care about some, late 20s person, trying to make comics. So I'm going to make my own comics, just like Tom said. I'm going to go out there. I'm going to do it. I have my brand with my close personal friend, but I have not had the same success. But it is cool. It's always cool to hear the stories about, people making their own path, because you can. And that's kind of what made me kind of restructure. I've started my own company now, Part-Time Comics, a couple of years ago, because I realized that what we lost in my first decade in the industry was you do want to have some sort of cohesive brand, whatever that is. Your voice as a writer, your style, whatever. Obviously, Big Dog Ink is has a brand. It's easily identifiable. Dynamite, you mentioned. I think you get a feel for what kind of books they do. And I kind of spent the first 10 years just kind of, I want to do a book like this, and I want to do a book like this, and hey, my buddy wants to put out a book. Okay, I'll publish it for you. And that was great, and that was fun. But I do feel like I've kind of put myself way behind. Like, I'd love to be in a position like you and doing figures and having long running series. And unfortunately, I've had to kind of step back, rebrand. But I say all that to say, don't be afraid to do that either. If your goal is really to be as successful as Tom is, describing and to have these kind of moments, you may have to kind of look at, your 5 and 10 year plan and really have that planned out. Or you can just do like me, just do whatever you want every day and hope that it works out. You can do that too.
Well, yeah. Even with us though, we had to redo it because we redid it twice. So we did it our first time. We did 4 years by ourselves. We were moderately successful in what we did.
Years.
But then we kind of felt like we had reached a level where we weren't growing anymore. Like, we couldn't get through this little glass ceiling. And that's when we went over to Aspen. We went over to Aspen Comics. They became our publisher. Now, there were pluses and minuses to that. The pluses were we were now being seen by all of Aspen's people. Whether they liked us or not was a different thing. But all of Aspen's eyeballs were on what we were doing because we were doing stuff through Aspen. So that was good. The problem was, something we didn't really consider, was that because now everything that was Big Dog is now published under Aspen, people weren't seeing the Big Dog brand anymore. And most people thought that we were gone. They were like, well, I guess Tom didn't make it. 4 years.
I'll be honest. I thought, yeah. I thought the same thing.
And it didn't really occur to me like that was a problem. Like, because there's social media, we're telling everybody we're over here at Aspen. It's happening. They kept putting our logos on the books. Like, they didn't hide Big Dog Ink. They were like, let's use your brand. Let's keep it going. And I'm like, awesome. But that's what happened. People literally thought that we had gone under. And it took years to get a lot of those people back to understand where we were. And then by that time, we had to rebrand again, because that's when Aspen sold part of their company to a movie studio that was going to focus on the Michael Turner properties. And there wasn't a space for us at Aspen anymore. So we had to come back out of Aspen and decide, okay, what are we doing? Are we just going back into Diamond? Like, what are we doing? And that's when I decided to tackle Kickstarter. And that was now, God, I don't know, almost 7 years ago, I guess. And maybe 6 years. And that's all we've been doing since. It's been Kickstarters, Comic Cons, websites, live sales now on Facebook and stuff like that. So we actually had to rebrand ourselves, essentially the first time and then 2 other times to get to maintain and kind of get where we are. So 100%, sometimes you got to stop and reassess where you are and what you're doing and why you're doing it that way, because there may be other paths that'll take you to a better destination.
I'm gonna throw something out there about myself. Obviously, I think it was a good rebrand for me. I was doing pre-recorded interviews for about 9 years, and then COVID hit, and I made a decision to rebrand to do them live. And I could tell you, the first 20 of those, man, were rough. And honestly, I'm about to go through a rebrand in the next 18 months. I haven't publicly announced it, but Conversations in Pop Culture is actually going to take over that old show. And the old episodes are going to get incorporated under that. And it's actually going to be a shift. But I saw sort of the writing on the wall, I feel. And I was like, you know what is, this is how I can produce more content, and I can produce better content. And I also feel that I'm probably going to go through a whole new, I guess, I don't call it a rebrand, I call it more of an evolution. But it's the same concept. But I definitely, 3 years ago when COVID hit, I made a decision to go down that way and go from doing pre-recorded to doing live. And it has benefited me in so many ways. And I mean, I ran a Kickstarter Whether people like me to run it or not is a different question. But again, that's where the writing. I think it's important that people say sometimes you got to rebrand, you got to evolve.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, all companies do it. At some point in the game, all companies do it. Even Pepsi changed their logo, man, to whatever the heck that thing is now. I don't know what that thing is, but even Pepsi changed their logo at one point. So,
Just don't bring up Crystal Pepsi. Right?
Yeah. I mean, even Sprite, right? Sprite has a marketing thing happening right now because they're not using green bottles anymore.
I was gonna say it's right now. They went to a clear bottle. I was like, what is this? So the only thing
very
that's
excited
constant
about
is
it.
change, right?
That's right.
And text. That's about it. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah. Always, even when things are good, evaluate what you're doing. Why is it good? Why is it not better? Why is it that you feel like maybe you're stuck in this one path when maybe there's a second one this way and you could do both? And that doesn't mean anything's going wrong. It just means just be aware of what's happening with your brand, with your fans, with your book, with social media, which the way that everything works. It's like, Facebook was the thing and then Instagram was the thing and now TikTok's the thing. Like, it's everything, like you just said, the only thing that stays the same is change. So, it's just how do you use all of the things at your disposal? And you can be like me and use none of them because I'm too old and I don't like social media. And so I do very little of it.
You're on Instagram all the time.
Well, here's the thing. I am only on Instagram all the time because I connected it to my Facebook, which is what I'm actually on all the time. Gotcha. So whatever I do there kind of automatically goes over there. So I was very, very happy to have that link because otherwise I would have totally ignored Instagram over a period of time. But yeah, all of these things will do different things for you. And you just have to figure out how much time you want to put into each one and what value each one has for you. And, again, there'll be something after TikTok, in 5 years, TikTok will be like, yeah, that's for old people. We're using whatever this is on the blockchain, thing. So yeah.
Something. Right.
I
Back
hate
your
TikTok,
kid lunches. You know what I mean? It's like there's going to be something new. There's going to be somebody who rebrands and changes. And look what's going on with HBO and Warner Brothers right now. Like, holy shit, they're changing everything.
TikTok.
So
yeah, and that's good. And that's, in that case, that's when you get your entire company taken over. Discovery comes in and they're like, okay, we're fixing all of this, yo.
It looks like they got rid of a lot of crap. So.
Well, they needed someone to go in and clean house. I feel like there was like 7 guys wearing suits in a boardroom around a big table making shitty decisions about everything. You know what I mean? It's like too many opinions, too many suits, not enough creative people that could stand up to them and be like, no, you're ruining this. Like, you should really just butt out and let this person create because that's what we hired them for. But no.
It's the old adage of the camel is the horse that was built by committee. And
and look at it, it's a monstrosity.
DC's a camel. Yeah, DC's a camel and Marvel is a thoroughbred. I mean, and look at how they were built differently. That's it.
And look how Marvel has adapted and constantly changing and doing new things and trying new platforms, and they're not sitting still. They're not doing the same thing over and over. And yeah, can they miss on some of their products? Absolutely. But they're still trying and they're trying to get new audiences. They're not stupid. So
I mean, look at Netflix. Netflix is the same way. I'm a big Netflix guy, and there's certain things on Netflix that missed. I mean, Resident Evil was definitely.
I didn't even watch it.
All right. Resident Evil just needs to
let me make my point before the zombie
just do animated stuff. Like, can they stop making live action because none of this hit?
It seems like it should be so easy, but they just mess it up.
Just follow the comics. No, okay, never mind. Who am I kidding?
They should just focus on video games, to be honest.
Yeah, just
right. But it's like, well, we already did that with the animated series, the animated shows. It's like, yeah, but that's what's the good stuff. Like, follow that, and that's no, you're gonna write a character that everybody hates.
Yeah.
I feel like I should say this just right now. I do own Netflix. I bought it at $190, so I'm very happy.
You own the entire Netflix?
You own the whole thing? Because
he
we
does,
should have
and
a
now
conversation.
he's gonna let us all create shows for Netflix, right, Andrew?
Let's just say that I have enough stock that the $60 gain is actually significant.
They'll listen to you then.
and then I do own AT&T, and I also have enough stock that spinoff was wonderful for me. But that's a different
All right, I'll
discussion.
send my
for
pitch.
today.
It's like, haven't you heard my pitch enough times, Andrew? Why aren't you calling me?
I also own Disney, so I'm
Okay,
on
yeah.
every side.
Mhm.
And
you might want to sell that.
Todd, your face is just staying still. You look like it's like
Listen, anytime Resident Evil is brought up, I kind of shut down. 'Cause
Yeah.
What a dumpster fire.
Look, for as bad as the older movies were, near the end,
Oh my
the
God.
new stuff sucks.
The old movies are like The Godfather compared to
I
what
know.
this TV show is.
Wow.
I mean, the original, I think, was a masterpiece. I loved the first movie. They got really ridiculous near the end. And that's saying a lot for a movie about zombies, but they got ridiculous.
Yeah.
So I don't have a problem with that like 4-part series on Netflix. I think it's okay. Like the animation. What was it like? It wasn't Degeneration. It was like Regeneration or something. Like,
Oh, that
Yeah.
one was good. I saw that.
I enjoyed that, and
Yeah, that's not what we're talking about.
No. The Netflix thing, I just saw it. The only good thing that I thought was great was just the actor who plays Albert Wesker, because that actor is just fantastic.
We love him, but they did him dirty when they did. It's like I don't want to say it. It's like when he was like the B version of Blade when he came down and that dusty leather go with the flat top. We were like,
my favorite scene out of the entire thing is the Olive Garden scene. I just thought
that was funny. Okay,
that's the funniest thing, and that's my new gift for everybody. When they make a great joke, that's what I respond with now.
I mean, I honestly think that Lance Reddick should be working on the new adaptation of Unsolved Mysteries, but that's just me. He sounds just like the original guy. He's got the perfect voice. Throw him in a trench coat and put him in an airport hangar in the middle of the night. He'd be perfect.
You can put that man in just about anything, and he's fabulous.
He's perfect. I love that guy.
I do
My
too.
favorite thing is the Key and Peele sketch he was in.
Which one was it?
I think it was like a gay wedding sketch. It was just
that's perfect.
It was one of the funniest things I've ever seen, and it just did every piece perfectly.
The best thing about Key and Peele was when Dave Chappelle came back to doing stand-up, and he ripped him for doing his show for the last 7 years.
But it's like, amazing. Where did you go, dude? Come back.
Yeah, right. Well, now he's getting paid shitloads of money from Netflix and telling people to go fuck themselves.
Pretty much.
Love that guy too.
Isn't that what we're all doing in reality?
What? Telling people
I do that.
To fuck themselves?
I do that every day. I said
try
I have
not
4
to
kids.
Tell people that.
Really?
I don't. Yeah, I just usually knife people. But I mean, I digress.
That's true. I think I'm doing less damage than you.
Slightly.
Yeah.
You missed all the hijinks. Sorry, Tom.
People are dropping like flies, man.
It's just how it goes. We start up here, and we're expected to go down.
I mean, we're an hour into the live. I mean,
it's true.
Honestly, after last night, I don't think I can top anything I do this week. I'm sorry, Tom. I had the Bushwhackers on last night. It's going to be a hard follow-up for whoever's next.
What he's saying is you're not good enough.
What he's saying is he's stuck in the 80s. He can't get out. That's what he's saying.
That's true.
The 80s were bitching, man. I'm sorry.
I wasn't there, so I don't know. You were.
Yes, the 80s were. I've had this discussion with people many times. So many people don't agree with me. It was the golden age of creation. The 80s. So no, that doesn't mean everything was great. But it was the golden age of creation. It was a capitalist gold mine. You know, anything you made could be turned into toys now. All of the FCC regulations went away. You know, and I'm talking about from a pop culture standpoint. It was an age of creation that was, you know, fairly matched in the 90s, relatively. But you know, by the time I got to the 90s, I was too old to care about your Power Rangers and so on. So outside of things like, Jurassic Park and those monumental elements of the 90s are a blur to me. The music went weird, everything was weird, and I was like, nah, I'm gonna go ahead and check out of this decade. You guys can have it.
Ah,
To be fair, I think the 90s are a blur to a lot of people.
Yeah.
not to
Yeah.
me.
I don't remember the 90s.
I mean, the
Dude,
90s
Dude,
is
you were
when
born in
MTV
the 90s,
stopped
bro,
playing
so was
music.
I.
So that tells you something.
That's
They
true. They
stopped playing
did.
music? Oh, they
Yeah.
played music.
But then
Yeah.
again,
Well,
I was born
but it
in-
Yeah,
used
but
to
they
be
exclusively
24-hour
did
music, and
Oh,
then
yeah.
eventually it became
TV
12
shows.
hours of music and 6 hours of music. And now if you see a music video on there, it's like,
Yeah.
it's probably a retro one. It's like,
I
hey,
feel
remember
like-
the 80s?
The biggest blow to pop culture and MTV was when they brought Beavis and Butthead back in 2012, and they had to do reality television shows instead of music videos. I was like, what the hell are they doing, man? Now they're doing YouTube videos, though, and that's pretty funny. That's pretty
Yeah, we
solid.
lost Andrew. Hi, Andrew.
He's out. He spilled his drink.
I'll be right back. I just gotta drain the seal, for lack of a better word.
What?
He has to break the seal or
Right,
drain
right,
the lizard.
yeah, well,
He
it's
mixed the
you, I
two.
promise.
Oh, okay.
He has to take
So,
a pee-pee.
I mean, I've only been here for like 5 minutes. Well, it feels like I've been here for an hour because I've been talking. But
Yeah, I know.
What were you guys doing for the first hour before he gave me the link?
Hanging out, talking about our stuff.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, we were fucking around a lot.
I don't know what we were really talking about. Wasn't anything serious, was it? No, we were talking about like Kickstarter. We were talking about BackerKit. We were talking about like if we're looking for sales versus what name recognition, that kind of stuff. Like who do you go for? And it's hard when you're in a when you're active campaign where you're trying to get both. It's like I want people to recognize me, but I also want people to come back my projects. So you kind of need both things going on at the same time. I don't know. I'm a newbie compared to you guys. I have one Kickstarter under my belt and one issue of a book that's been printed, and it just came out in July. So I love coming on these because I get to meet new people. I get to talk about comics and meet more people in the community, listen to stories and about the things that you guys have accomplished, and kind of pick and choose where I want to go.
Well, I'll tell you, when you decide to come back for issue 2, or if you do another book or whatever it is, whatever types of images that you used the first time around, whatever sort of design you used, use it again. That's your branding, because then you start to have, and even though this is a Dynamite book behind me, I use Big Dog Ink branding. This is what I do for everything on my projects. So it doesn't matter what project it is, the design with the logo over here and the line and then the art, it's always the same. Superheroes, Westerns, horror, fantasy, it is always the same. I change the color, to be for each book, whatever. But that way, no matter what people are seeing, if they have seen a Big Dog Ink project before, and they're just kind of scrolling through Kickstarter and they see that sort of design, theoretically, again, Pepsi logo, right? Theoretically, they should be like, wait, that looks familiar.
Right.
Even if they don't know what the book is, you get a click and they find out, oh, it's Big Dog Ink. I didn't know that they made this book. So now that doesn't mean that doesn't mean just stay stagnant in everything that you do. It took me a long time to kind of figure out how I can do this over and over and over again. And it kind of got cleaned up a little bit here, a little bit there to kind of reach where it was. So don't stay stagnant, especially if you find a better way. But when you're talking about eyeballs and people that know who you are, recognition, that's the branding, that's your logo, that's that's your company logo, that's your title logo, that's if your character has like a Superman on this chest or whatever, right, that's a logo. So those are the things that people, when they see it, they should theoretically remember it the next time.
Okay, and I intuitively already did that, so that's good because we're gearing up for our next Kickstarter this fall. And we have this really cool image. It's like a half an angel and half a skeleton with wings. That's kind of like the representative of our book, right? So it's like issue number 2 is still have that cover, but then like everything else will be different on the Kickstarter page. We'll have new art, we'll have new products, we have new rewards, a new message. I come from movie production, so I'm going to spend a little more time green screening now that my kids are both in school. I can spend much more time creating content. So taking it up a notch for the second one. So I'm hopefully, you know, we've been listening to what people want. It's interesting because whenever I talk about my story and I talk about how our world works, everybody asks for a choose your own adventure. So I wrote one. So
Okay.
I'm just gonna throw it in, you know what I mean? So I have a reward tier where it's like, here's the comic, and if you want to back the choose your own adventure, you have the option to do that too. So stuff like that. People are really excited about the Funko Pops because I made it like super exclusive. So I'm gonna be running those on the next one. So hopefully I've been, you know, gauging my crowd correctly by listening to what they're looking for, what they're excited about, put those into the Kickstarter. Now
It's a hard thing because I'll use stretch goals as an example, right? Because you can go in and have a question. You're like, okay, guys, what do you want for stretch goals? You can ask 100 people and you'll get 100 different answers. So what do you do with that? You can't make 100 stretch goals. No. So, you know, I'm kind of always wary about all that kind of stuff, about people asking for this and asking for that, because it might really only be like 2 people. And
I heard it from like 8 people. And
then when you get to the campaign, it's like
I beta tested the book. So I took the book,
that's good.
Just like the first half, and I let people play it. And then they're like, okay, where do I buy it? You know what I mean? So it was more than just like one person asking for it. When the first person asked for it, I was like, yeah, that would be a lot of fun. And then the second person, I was like, okay. And so I was hearing it from a bunch of different places.
But we all know what I'm going to ask for on a stretch goal. I asked for.
I don't have a metal card for you, Andrew Mecha.
But there's a reason why. And Tom, I don't know if you know the reason why. I'm a huge metal card fan. And
no shit.
Time that somebody, because Xenoscope does metal cards, other people do metal cards, and people are like me, where anytime on a stretch goal somebody upgrades a trading card to a metal card, that to me is an amazing stretch goal. And I'm not the only one. And I try to convince everybody to do metal cards because I know that there's so many people like me out there. And to me, that is an awesome stretch goal. And then the other stretch goal that's really big right now is this too, which are the poker chips. Because I know CB Zane does it. I know Corey Hardiman does it. I don't think Larry's done one yet. But poker chips are a real big deal right now too as stretch goals. And
well, for us, we started poker chips because we were doing a Las Vegas book. So it was like, let's make poker chips because it fits the brand. But then again, when we moved to the next book, people asked us, are you going to keep doing poker chips? I'm like, why do you want a critter poker chip? Like, that doesn't make any sense. And they were like, well, we like the thing. We like that it's a poker chip. And I was like, oh, okay, that's interesting. And so we did it again. And then we went to another book and they were like, are you going to do a poker chip for this? And I'm like, I guess. And so the poker chip has become kind of a brand for us in a way. It's become a thing that started as a connected to the world, you know, of the book. And now it's just Big Dog Inc. poker chips. So
yeah, we're going to try to do that with tarot cards.
Interesting. That would be cool.
Yeah. So we're going to see how that goes.
And then trading cards are just huge right now collectively. I mean, card collecting has exploded in the last 3 years, let alone the last 18 months. And that's, I mean, I got a whole another show that I just launched on YouTube called Card Club. That's once a month, and I unbox really cool cards, and I got some scary stuff coming. I got some really weird stuff coming that may or may not upset people, but that's a big thing too that people really like.
Yeah, we've had people ask us for like playing card decks. Again, going back to Penny for Your Soul, you know, it's people like the gambling aspects. And so we were kind of like, okay, how do we do that kind of stuff here? And so we've looked into playing card decks. We'll probably do them when we bring Penny back in redacted.
It's like, what did you say?
We'll probably do that when Penny comes back. I don't know when, but you know, we'll probably do that then. So we've got some ideas for that. We've also I've had in my head for a long time, like a card game, not like poker, but an actual like card game, like Magic the Gathering, whatever, for Penny for Your Soul, that would be a card game itself, but also use poker mechanics as you basically play for the souls of humanity. You know, there's so many souls you have to win in the poker game. And so that's been in the back of my head too, but I don't know enough about developing a card game to be able to build it. So
I was like, Chris was on here. He could have helped you. He's the game developer.
Oh, there
He's
we
got
go.
so
Yeah.
many. He's developed like what, 6 games, 7 games? Ridiculous. All
Yeah.
Kickstarter.
I need somebody to take the idea and then make it real.
Right. Well, he could help you.
But yeah. So
I'll tell you
that's
what
something
you
that's on the
do.
back of my mind too.
The
Maybe
first person you gave a job in comics should help you.
the first person I gave a job in comics.
Yeah, do you know who it is?
The first person that I gave a job to would have been an
Their,
artist.
their first job in comics. Did you know who you gave their first job in comics to?
No.
Pat Sham.
No, that's horseshit.
No, I think it's true.
It's not true. It's not true. I guarantee you it's not true.
What did he do before?
He was working for Zenescope before he worked for me.
No, I don't think so. I think he said on the show that you were his first job in comics.
I may have been an early one. Because I know that there was a time when we were going to give him a full-time job, and that's when he went full-time with Zenescope. So I do know that there was that like sort of moment in time. But there's no way that what the Scarecrow was his first ever comic book job.
No way. It is. He's going to be on my show, and we're going to find out. How's that sound?
Okay. There's no way. There's no way. There's no way.
It's okay. When you're wrong, you can admit it.
Because
okay?
I don't know how I would have known him without him having done something. You know what I mean?
I think you were either like his first or second job. I'll retract.
Yeah.
I think that you're one of. I know you were early.
I'm sure. Yeah, definitely early. I can't imagine that it would be first. Maybe first for a publisher. Maybe he self-published some stuff. So I might have been the first publisher that he worked for. That's possible. That's theoretically possible. He may have done his own stuff. Maybe that's the way that I'm looking at it.
I don't know. No, maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. What do I know? All I know is that
You're drunk.
I don't know who did this one, but I think is this who I think it is? Does it start with an S?
Yeah, of course it is.
Does it have an M in it?
Yeah.
Does he do a lot of work for Comic Mint?
Yeah, and they can thank me for getting him into comics because we were his first ever comic book job.
That's an expensive book right now.
Dude, I haven't even seen one in years. Yeah, that's Shannon Mayer for people that don't know. We actually had him on. His first ever comic book was for us, and that was way back. Oh my God, way back. Issue that's so if you want to go find it and pay about $300 for it, it's Legend of Oz: The Wicked West, Volume 2, number 7.
I'm gonna challenge Tom. Offer $275 for $300 on eBay, and you should get it for that price.
There aren't any. There's none there. Well, there's occasionally a graded one. I have seen a graded one from time to time, but there are some books of ours that just do not appear for sale, and if they do, they're usually hundreds and hundreds of dollars.
I mean, I have a 9.2 of one of the Wicked West earlies, and that book doesn't come up. And I stole that book for like $18 and a 9.2. And I can tell you that if I threw that book right now up on eBay, at least 100, at least. It's just one of those things where it doesn't come up.
Of course, and as we say it, there are 2 on eBay right now. One is the graded. It is 9.8. It is $2,300. And then there is somebody. Oh no, never mind. That's the holofoil.
I don't have the holofoil.
So someone's trying to sell a more recent holofoil version of it at $137. There's no bids right now. But there is a legitimate, real, original first print graded 9.8 for $2,300 right now. Yeah. So wild. It's wild, man. It's crazy out there. That's one of the strangest things, I think, having been doing this for 12 years now, is seeing books that you did a long time ago. Not that long. I mean, 12 years isn't that long, but it's long enough. And to see books that you did like actually commanding real money. That's wild to me. That just is so wild to me. I can't comprehend how that happened. And that there's, and of course, the reason for that book being $2,300 is not because I wrote it. It's because it's Shannon Mayer's first comic book. Also because it's Dorothy Gale. People understand Oz, Dorothy Gale. So there's some of that, but it has nothing to do with me or Big Dog Inc. But the fact that it does actually command that type of dollar is it's wild.
I mean, I teach this shit, and October 5th, guys. I mean, my class is coming, and I teach the basics. And my goal is that I want to make people rich through comic books. That is my goal, because I love financial independence. I love when people become wealthy, and I don't know how to do anything else except invest in comic books and in the stock market. That's as far as I go. I think I am okay at this, as far as an interviewer, as far as a host, but my specialty is those two areas, and I am damn good at both of them. I mean, what I do in the stock market and what I do in comic book investing is unbelievable. I hate to tout myself and then not to brag, but I do all right.
I'm just scrolling through eBay right now. There's some crazy shit on here. There's crazy stuff on here.
So even to go on a more humble point, one of the things about Tom and me is I don't know how long I've known you, Tom. What is it, 3, maybe 4 years now?
In a few years, yeah.
So Tom just asked me today. That's how this all came about. He's like, "Hey, Bad Kitty, we need some eyes on it, all sorts of stuff. Depending on what happens tomorrow, may or may not back that on Indiegogo." I don't feel 100% comfortable on Indiegogo. Just
A lot of people don't.
It's Kickstarter's my play, but I do like some of that stuff on it. I also think that some of it's pretty reasonable. I mean, some of the covers are $15, which aren't bad.
Yeah, it's the stuff that's on there is basically priced the way that my stuff would be, like on mine. So $15-$25. It's very average stuff as far as pricing goes. There is a Shannon Mayer cover for you guys that want some Shannon Mayer stuff. This one's done by Brian Peterson, who's been doing a ton of work for us at Big Dog Inc. So I brought him over. Really, it was a Big Dog Inc. takeover of Dynamite. Because when I pitched the book to Nick Barucci, who's the head of Dynamite, it was this is okay. So everybody's always asking, like, how do you break into comics? I'm going to tell you right now. This is how easy it is. Okay. I went to Nick Barucci on a Facebook Messenger.
Oh, I know this story too.
And we were talking about something else, like Comic Book Shopping Network, live sales, something like that. And when the conversation was over, I was like, "So tell me what's happening with Chaos stuff." And he was like, "Well, there's this thing and there's this thing and this thing." And I was like, "Oh, okay. So tell me when you need some Bad Kitty." That was the pitch. That was the entire pitch. Tell me when you need some Bad Kitty. And he was like, "Yeah, why don't we crowdfund that?" Like instantly. There was no other conversation. And I was like, "Oh, okay, I guess I have to do something." And that was it. I just kind of was like,
it's just Saturday's conversation.
That was it. Basically a year ago, almost to the day. It was last August. And I was like, okay. And then basically his next thing was like, "Well, what would you want to do?" And I told him, I was like, "Well, I want to bring it back to basics. I told him, I don't like what you did in 2014. I don't like that weird dual personality thing. So I want to reset her to what she was." He was like, "Cool, go do it. Write the draft, whatever." And I was like, "Oh my God." And then it was, I basically asked him, "Do you want me to write this thing and walk away? Or do you want me to become involved in the art direction of the book and so on?" And he was like, "No, I want you on all aspects of this book." And I was like, "God damn. All right, awesome." So the first thing I did was I made a list of, I don't know, 7 artists that were Big Dog Inc. people and Dynamite people. And in some cases they were crossovers. They had worked for both. Because I wanted to bring my Big Dog Inc. people, the people that I work with, to the Dynamite fans. I wanted to get the Dynamite fans to know who my guys are because they hadn't worked for Dynamite before. And then the other spots were Shannon Mayer, Joe Linsner. There was one that we couldn't get. Rose Besh we couldn't get because she was too busy to do it. But we got literally everybody else. So I was like, "Oh my God, this is amazing." And then he let me pick an artist. And I showed him 2 artists. I showed him CB Zane, who I was pretty sure we could line up and get done, and they would like him. And I've worked with CB enough to be like, let's do this with CB Zane. And then the other guy was Carlos Reno, and they're really very opposite in their styles. And I just did that because I thought maybe they would have maybe in their mind they had a style that they wanted it to go one way or the other, but they really didn't. And so they left it up to me, and I said, well, let's go with CB. And they said, fine.
CB's been
And
on a
just
bunch.
on and on and on and on. And goddamn, guys, I made a book for Dynamite. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's
I'm on a
crazy.
Dynamite kick on Instagram right now.
I was going to
What's
say, I hope I get to make a book for Dynamite.
Well, now you know how to pitch.
Goals.
Yeah, now
Hashtag.
you know how to pitch. You just got to go over there and look at their properties and be like, so, tell me you need some Battlestar Galactica. Like that's
Right.
all that's all it takes.
When do you
It's
need
that
some
easy.
of that? I write. I'll be right here.
Oh man. So yeah, so it was really fun. It was a really interesting experience because I'd never worked with an editor before. I have an editor, but I don't have like a content editor, like a story editor. I write my stories the way I want to write them, and she helps with the grammar and all that kind of stuff. And so going in here, I knew that there was an editor who kind of was in charge of like the chaos stuff, because all the purgatory and chastity and all the other chaos stuff. So I was prepared to like turn stuff in and get notes and okay, fix this and get notes and fix it. And I was like, okay, I gotta steady myself for this. I have to be ready to take the shots and be like, okay, it's your thing. I'll fix it. But when I turned the script in, he was like, okay, let me look at this over the weekend. I said, okay, cool. So I had the weekend to worry about it. And then when we got to Monday, he sent the script back and he was like, okay, here's what we did. We fixed a little bit of the grammar, the commas, whatever. And I was like, yeah, sure. But what about the story? Like what's what do I need to do with that? And they were like, nothing, it's fine. I was like, what? No. What about, because I put all these little extra things in, in the hope that it would do well and we'd be able to do more and use those little things to kind of thread forward. And he was like, yeah, it's all fine. It's all good. It's like, oh shit. That's
Tom is making my Saturday interview now easy to write.
super, super, super weird. And then off to CB it went, and he started drawing the book, and he got mad at me for a couple of things. He's like, how am I supposed to draw that? I'm like, with a pencil, just get your pencil and go.
Don't you love that when they're like,
go.
I have no idea what's in your brain. How did you think of this? And you're like, just make it up.
Yeah. Just go.
Well, the best part is when you write it and they ask you what the hell you have in your head, and you're like, I don't remember writing that, and I don't know what the fuck was in my head when I wrote it.
I just own it. I was like, well,
Like, please draw it though, because it sounds good.
Yeah, CB and I have worked a long time together, even on interiors, not just covers. And so we've gone through he's done superheroes with me. He's done our Goth Day book, where we really tried to kind of get weird with it. And we were like incorporating musical notes into the panel designs and stuff. It was really crazy. And so he knew what I wanted from this book. He knew how I wanted it to look. But there were a couple of scenes where he was like, Jesus Christ. Like, yeah, you'll be fine. Don't worry. You'll be fine. And he did it, and it looks fantastic. And then Chris Chua came in. He's another Big Dog Ink guy, who does colors for us. And he did all the colors, and it looks very different from most Dynamite books. And that's either going to be a big plus for us or a big minus. And I won't know until people get the book. People are either going to be like, yo, this is awesome. Or the Dynamite fans, are going to be like, this is really weird. I don't know any of these artists or anything. You know what I mean? So I have to hope that if the art feels weird, that it at least reads well. So that as they're reading it, they're having a good time. They can just sort of let the art flow, But I think it looks amazing. The people that I've shown it to think it looks really cool. And so, that's it. We'll have this book out. It's going to be out in October. I mean, this thing ends in 2 weeks. So if you haven't pledged yet, if you want to look at it, it's on Indiegogo, Bad Kitty. It ends in 2 weeks. And basically the way that I understand it, it's being printed to order. So whatever is being ordered, they're going right to print so that they can go right to shipping and try and turn this thing around like within a couple of months. So if you miss out on Indiegogo, there is a small possibility that they move it to Kickstarter as well. but I have no confirmation of that whatsoever. So if you're waiting, I would say don't. Or I would say at least grab one book so that you have it. And then if they do put it on Kickstarter, then you can get the rest of the books that you want. But at least grab your one, because if they do decide we're doing a very short print run, then I don't want you to miss it. I don't want you to miss the covers. I don't want you to miss the story, because again, we might even go forward and do more with this. So, and if we do, you're going to want this first issue.
Dynamite's fascinating because obviously they worked with Mindy Wheeler, worked with a bunch of other people. They've obviously done Dan Wickline's book as well, I think, which was Karma or something Karma, I think. And so obviously that's something that is really interesting. Dynamite really loves Indiegogo. They just do.
Well, they use both. I mean, they use both very, very actively. And I'm not sure why this one. Well, I know part of the reason why this one was on Indiegogo, and part of it was because Indiegogo asked for it. They literally told the Dynamite folks, "We want to have this on Indiegogo."
I have to interrupt. I'm sorry.
Yep.
Who's the cat? Taylor, who's your cat?
Oh.
Lucifer. He's only got one working eye.
Oh, just like Chris.
Okay. We don't share on the show.
Yeah, he's got a milky eye.
We're very progressive on this show, so
yeah, right.
Continue, Tom. Sorry, continue, please.
Well, that was
Sorry,
it. Indiegogo asked for the book, like they knew what Dynamite had coming, and they picked it. They were like, "We want this to be on Indiegogo," and I was like, "Okay." I told them honestly, I think it'll do better on Kickstarter, but it's your book, so you gotta do what you want to do. And so I don't know if that was just a product of scheduling or what, but it is on Indiegogo. It does have 2 more weeks. It's got 124 backers right now, something like that. So it's doing all right, but I don't know if there's going to be a follow-up campaign. So I know there's a lot of people kind of waiting to find out, but I don't have an answer, and I may not have an answer until after it's over. So again, if you're at least interested, go get one book, go get the basic book, spend the $15 and have it. That way, if it doesn't go to Kickstarter, you guys will at least have the book.
Isn't there's a cosplay version of that book for $15, and there's I think Greg Bo Watson has.
There's a bunch of them. Greg Bo's not on there. But we have. Well, hey, I can look at it. There's a whole bunch of $15 books. You can get the CB Zane cover. You can get the Bill McKay cover. You can get one of the cosplay covers. You can get the Maria Sanapo cover. They put a blank sketch cover on there as well, so you can get a sketch cover for $15. And then the $20 books are Shannon Mayer, Michael Maria, Brian Peterson, and Joe Linsner. Those are the $20 books. So it's very, very easy.
Who don't know what's going on in the silence between me and Lori, she wants me to check the rest of my beer.
Do it.
And then go get an Oreo.
Yeah, right.
We have come full circle back to the Oreo.
I have a package of Dunkaroos in my kitchen, so I can't wait to eat that.
I'm good with that. You can palm a Dunkaroo.
I really don't care. I just want to see palm a cookie.
I know, palm a cookie, and then show us what was it? Your sleight of tongue? Is that what he said earlier, Taylor?
Yes. Mostly because I think I might be old, but I don't know what the fuck palming anything means. So
it's like you put it here and then you kind of do this.
What's that have to do with your mouth?
It's like, here's that. Oh, look, it's gone.
That? Okay.
Yeah.
What the hell is that? Okay.
I
thought this had something to do with his mouth. I was so lost.
Woo! There you go, Andrew. I'm happy now.
I'm proud of you.
Thank you, sir. I watched you babysit that beer for, where are we, an hour and 43 minutes?
He has been. No, he went and got another beer. He went and got another beer, remember?
Okay.
He shut his feed down there long enough to go get another beer.
Oh, okay. I apologize. I thought it was the same beer. I was like, God damn, man.
I know.
That beer.
I was afraid I didn't know him that well.
Take over, but I don't know if Tom was speaking the entire time. I was going to ask you about Red Light. That's a different question.
Damn.
I like Tom. He can just talk and talk. Man.
No, I can just listen. I can just put myself on mute and learn from Tom. I'm good with
pretty much what I've been doing for the last 40 minutes.
Right. I'm like, should I be taking notes?
That's what I told him when I came in. I'm like, does anybody know I'm coming? Like, what are you guys actually doing? because I didn't know if I should come in and pitch a book. I didn't know if we're just going to talk about, how terrible Eternals is. Like, what are we doing tonight?
My last project made $1,000, so I'm just here to learn.
This is the whole
you had a Kickstarter project?
Yeah, my second one. My first one made like $1,300, and the last one made like $900. Because some dickhead pledged $150 and then dropped out on the last day.
Trust me, I have much more horror stories.
I was so pissed off.
That. But yeah, no, that happens. That happens. I had a guy drop out for $1,000 worth of books.
Oh, ouch!
Yeah,
what a monster!
What happened?
A guy dropped out for $1,000.
You just never know.
Well, it wasn't. In fairness, he didn't drop out, but when it came to charging credit cards, the credit card didn't work. And so, which happens, I mean, that happens all the time, and you give people a chance to fix it and whatever,
right?
But it never got fixed. And then when we got to the survey point, he could still do it. He could still get it fixed and have it done through BackerKit. But, we would send him messages and be like, hey, it's not, or something's wrong with your credit card, blah, 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 blah. And it just never happened. So that was $1,000, into the wind.
I've been that guy before, but I always message the creator and let him know like something came up.
Sure.
And it's always for like $5.
Yeah.
Well, then you're forgiven. It's not going to make
a lot of times we do get messages.
If I lose $1,000,
yeah,
I can't pay my guy. You know what I mean? Like I did pretty well in my first campaign. We raised over $5,000. Our goal was like $4,500. We're gonna go for $5,500 on the second one. Not that big of a, but you know what I mean. Like my art doesn't work for free.
Going back to the branding part, I would keep your starting goal at the same thing.
Put it as the same 4,500.
Yeah.
Well, I always put mine at like 100.
Well, but you made it for 4,500 last time, right?
But it's slightly different this time.
Oh, why is that? What happened? Is it like double the
merch?
Okay.
Change some of the rewards, and we're shooting for color. We want to do much more color than we did in the last one, so cost more.
Yeah,
but not too much more.
But here's one of the tricks. I'm going to give you one of the tricks. Are you ready?
Please, by all means.
You're gonna
give me all the tricks. Wait, you're handing out tricks. I want them all.
It's the terrible A word.
Asshole.
The other terrible A word.
Oh, okay.
What's the A word?
Algorithm. Okay. The sooner you fund your project, okay. Let's say you're asking for $1,000. As soon as you fund it for $1,000, you are now funded in the eyes of the campaign, or in the eyes of Kickstarter. You're funded, right? It doesn't matter that you're not really funded. You're funded in the eyes of Kickstarter and in the eyes of the community. As soon as you get to 2,000, you are now 200% funded. Algorithm pushes you up. 3,000, algorithm pushes you up.
See, but then I'm worried that people will be like, she's funded, I don't need to contribute.
Nope. Doesn't work that way. It's the opposite. It's, wait, why isn't this funded yet? I need to wait until the end to make sure it's funded. Versus, oh, it's funded. I can pledge, and I know the book is going to get done.
But we won't be able to get it done for $2,000.
But again, you're assuming just because you get to $2,000, you're not stopping there.
But I've seen other Kickstarters that their goal is $2,000 and they get 2,100.
It can, but you are already starting at a point
over where they need.
Right, but you're already starting at a point where you made $5,500 on a $4,500 goal.
True.
Okay, so I'm not saying it's not a risk, right?
Yeah.
But again, you have to use the platform in all of its capacities to help you get more eyeballs and more 100%, 200%, 300%, 400%. That pushes you up into the visibility algorithms.
I'll give a great example.
So that just not when people come searching for you, you want people to search for you, but what you also want are the people that have no idea who you are.
Yes.
Go on Kickstarter and be like, what is that? It's up high in the charts. Let me click on that and see what it is. So yes, it's taking a risk, and that's why I'm not saying go down to $2,000. But I would say stick with your original at 4,500 or whatever it was, and play that game a little bit. Like even for us, every time that we've done a campaign, we've done it at 5,000. We've never changed it. Even when we come in and we know we're going to do 10,000 in a day, we have a $5,000 limit. A lot of guys play it even lower. They'll play it for like $500 and they'll be like, we
Right.
funded in 1 minute. And I'm like, yeah, because it's $500. It doesn't mean anything.
I
Right?
know. I see those all the time where they're like, we funded in less than 2 hours. And I'm
That's
like,
right.
but I can't.
That's right.
fund
I
it.
do it at $100.
Those guys are playing that algorithm game. That's why that's.
I mean, Tom, I'm going to drop the name Jim Noble.
Yeah.
I think it's you and Jim have worked together. I like Jim. Jim's been very nice to me. And so one of the things is that, Jim plays, I think, around $500, I think.
Taylor, I gotta
500.
say, man, that's your like 5th cigarette, dude.
This is like my 10th cigarette.
Ugh.
And so I felt very comfortable when I ran my Kickstarter, which I both happy and not happy about it. But I put it at $750. But the thing about my entire Kickstarter is I already was covered for season 4 because I had other sponsorship money, but I felt comfortable enough. I said, look, let me go for $750. I feel very comfortable at $750. And I did, I think, 116, maybe 120%, maybe 123. I forget the exact percentage. But the idea is that if I run another one, I'm going to probably put it at $500. And that's probably going to be the lowest position because, again, I have other ways that I fund. And so I don't need to play it, but I want to get to where I have $1,000 because then I'm 200% funded. So it says, hey, what's going on here? And then it creates a FOMO position, fear of missing out.
Yeah.
And that's what I think.
Once you're funded, it's far better to fund on day 10 than day 22. So as soon as you're funded, the community recognizes that you're funded, and you now get those people that have been waiting to see if you're funded, to say, okay, this thing's done, it's funded. I'm gonna dive in. So, again, it's just a thought process. I'm definitely not telling you to go to $2,000, but
Okay.
I would say stick with your original goal, just because again, it creates this understanding with your customer base. They asked for 45 last time. They're asking for 45 this time, versus, now they're asking for more. Like, how fast did you fund the first time?
I think we funded on, I have to go look. It was like probably day 21.
Out of 30?
Yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of that was because people were waiting for you to fund before you dove in. You were showing a trend of potentially not funding. And even though the reality is that they can pledge and it has no effect on their bank account until it's over,
Mhm.
and that's when they get charged. There are definitely people that still don't understand that to this day, that they think they're getting charged immediately. And they're like, well, if I'm pledging for her book and then I'm getting charged, and then if it doesn't fund, then I have to go back and get a refund. Like, there's all kinds of weird mental gymnastics that Kickstarter really can eliminate. Indiegogo does not eliminate those gymnastics, but Kickstarter does. And so if you are willing to take a little risk, and try and play the algorithm game a little bit, it could take you a lot further down the line.
So I've explained
I think that's not a big risk to go back to the original, because it's like, even from the original, we still made 116% of goal.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And if I get the same kind of people to come back and they at least come and click on my welcome video, and it's going to be 100 times better than my last welcome video, we should get a lot of returns.
Well,
hopefully.
yeah, and that's the thing, right? Is like, how many backers did you have?
106.
Okay, so you've already got 106 people that are aware of your book,
Right.
right? And they have it in their hands, right?
Correct.
Okay, so fingers crossed they liked it, and now you have the ability, because as soon as you launch, the people that did it will get an announcement. Hey, come back, Lori's new book, and they'll be like,
Right.
oh, she's doing issue 2.
Right.
So you could potentially get like half of those dudes
Probably.
in the first 4 or 5 days.
It's like, it
right?
won't be all 100. I know that, but
Yeah.
it's like,
But if you got like
I'm gonna get
50
some
of
of
them in
them.
the first 4 or 5 days, that's
Yeah.
going to change your algorithm. So
yeah.
Yeah. I always launch mine at $100. I learned that from, I don't know if you know him, Dan Shea. He does the Miskatonic High books.
Mm-mm.
But he always sets his at like $600, and it always funds within 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Mine generally fund within like 5 hours, but it does put it higher on it's just the algorithm. Obviously you're right, but I was just reiterating that. I'm so
It's-
far in the
it's
hole
just-
because
it's just
I
the
said
risk.
it's so low, but still.
It's just the risk. You have to be able to, look at it and say, we know it's a risk, but based on what we understand social media working and how Kickstarter works and all that, it should theoretically help us.
Mm-hmm.
That's all.
And I mean, could I make it work on that budget? Probably. I might have to adjust some things, but could I at least in the minimum get the comic out? Absolutely.
There you go.
You know what I mean?
And that's the key.
We have so many freebies that come out with our product anyway, because we do a short film with every comic and we do a riddle with every comic, and those come out free. So like the back cover of my comic is always a riddle. I'll show you. And if people solve the riddle, they get to participate in the social media experiment.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So here's this one. There's one on the next one that I've already kind of been hinting at people. And it's like they actually get to interact with the world, where it's like you might get if you solve the riddle, you might get a phone number to call and you hear a message based off of, from something from my world. Or it's like you might get a postcard from my character. You know what I mean? So it's all these different things and it's story related. So it's like they might get a little hint at what's coming in the next issue. Or,
Sure.
You know what
That's
I mean?
cool. Yeah, that's
so
cool.
it's just something a little extra. So I think like that helps us because it brings people in from different platforms and they get to participate. You know what I mean? Instead of just read the comic. Andrew just wants to read the comic. I told him about the riddles and he was like, I don't want to think, Lori.
Andrew's a nerd. That's why.
And I was like, Andrew, it's a lot of fun. You should participate. And he was like, I'm just going to chug beer and Palm Oreos and nuts to your comic, Lori. You have a metal card? Get off my show.
I believe everything you're saying right now.
Just kidding. Obviously, I came back multiple times. I've been on Andrew's show lots. So we have a fun time. Usually I'm drinking too. I just can't right now because I'm sick.
The best part about Andrew's show is the 2 hours you spend afterward talking to him.
Yeah. Hanging out.
It's my favorite part.
Show me what's on your shirt, Andrew.
Dragon Ball Z.
Well, I
Because
can see that,
he's
but I
a
wanna see it.
nerd.
He's melting?
He's going oh my god, why do I know
I know
these
he's
things?
going Super
I need to
Saiyan.
stop
I get
talking.
that, but I mean, like, why is he melting?
You're a 50-year-old man. You shouldn't.
I don't know what
this.
Dragon Ball Z is. I redact everything that I said.
I'm 30. I don't even know.
You should
this.
know what it is.
I'm 29. I'm super into this. I bought myself a DBZ watch from G-Shock. And I love my G-Shock watch. And I made that watch is now appreciated by 40%. It's insane. Like, I have no idea how I do it. everything I buy turns to money. It's just
anime for me stopped after Robotech.
Yo,
Robotech ended.
Did
Anime for me ended.
Did you
Wow,
watch?
that's terrible. There's so many good shows to watch.
No.
No. I have a question for
Come
Tom.
on.
Tom, did you watch my Lin May interview?
No, I haven't yet. Mm-mm.
Oh,
I met her. I met her at RoboCon for the 10-year anniversary of Robotech. I was actually there when
Rose,
she
I
was
gotta
there,
go.
which was cool.
I did it all for you, Tom. That was the whole point.
I know, seriously.
It was
What's
just for
going
you.
on? I have no idea. All right. Peace out, my brothers. I gotta go.
This is what people don't understand. I did
We'll
an
see ya.
Peace out.
Andrew does not care.
Bye,
He doesn't
Lauren.
even hear you.
Bye.
Well, I think I exhausted everything I have. I'm sure me and Tom are going to be extensively talking about this on Saturday, 7 p.m., everybody. But I do want to give a chance for everybody to promote themselves before we go into the 2-hour after hours talk about life and me getting sober again, because clearly I'm out of beer. I'm going to have one pie for Saturday before I interview Tom, but that's not the point.
There's no way you're out of beer.
I'm out of my beer that my parents don't have in their stock. And let's just say that my parents, if I drink any more of their beer, I'm a little scared of what will happen to me.
You sound like me at 17.
Hey, I didn't start drinking until I was 20, so I started 3 years later. But anyway, me and Taylor are the same age, more or less. I'm 29, Taylor's 30, so clearly.
You're just a baby.
What?
You're just a baby. That 30 mark really makes a difference. I'm telling you. I can feel it. Tom knows what I'm talking about. He felt it in 2000, 1999.
I didn't feel 30 at all. 30 was a nonsense number to me. Didn't mean shit.
All I know is that Tom, CB Zane, and Noah
was
are going to be
real.
on my show on my birthday when I'm 30, and it's going to be a blast as I eat birthday cake. and get hammered. That's the plan, right, Tom?
Sure.
Did you want in, Taylor?
Yeah, I'm into it.
Everybody's just gonna get completely inebriated.
I'll get off the wagon for your birthday. My wife will love you for that.
What are you gonna do?
I said my wife will love that.
I missed the first part because I wasn't paying attention.
Oh, I said I'll get off the wagon for your birthday.
Oh shit!
I'll crawl right off of it.
Get on the wagon. I mean, everybody's gonna get on the wagon. It's gonna be a blast.
It's a different wagon.
well. I don't want to go into the bad kitty category at the moment, but where can people find you, Taylor? For lack of a better word.
Huh?
Where can people find you?
Oh, we're up at Outlaws Comics on everything. We are on pretty much every social media platform except for TikTok. Because I don't know how to make many videos.
Neither do I, so it's all right. But go actually check out Outlaw. They're great. Taylor, you're going to be on my show whenever you launch. Day one.
Yeah,
if you want to launch party, we'll do it.
Hopefully be soon.
But we'll figure that out, and obviously I owe you at least another interview or two or three. I forget at this point, because Taylor was one of the first people who backed me on Kickstarter, so I appreciate that. And then where can people find you?
So Big Dog Inc. is on Twitter and Instagram, BDI Comics. I'm on Facebook. Big Dog Inc. is on Facebook. There is a Twitter account. There is or not Twitter. There's a TikTok account. There is nothing there, but you are welcome to join up in anticipation of what may or may not be there at some point. I think it's just BDI Comics there as well. But I think if you look me up, you'll find me as well. So, but yeah, Facebook is basically where we live. But Instagram and Twitter is BDI Comics. And then we have a Patreon too. We just got a new patron today. So we're at 33 patrons now. So patreon.com/Big Dog Inc. If you guys like that stuff too.
Yeah, and I'm going to just keep saying it. I've been saying it forever. You have to support the content that you like, whether that's mainstream, indie, alt street, whatever you want to call it. If you like something, you need to put your money where your mouth is, because if you want to see more of it, well, content needs money to be made. And so I recommend to everybody that if you like Big Dog Inc., you like comics, that you actually go out and spend your money at those places, because it does make a big difference. If you like zombie book stories, got that. If you like board games, Chris has that. If you like, John's book, which is Depowered, which is about a bunch of superheroes losing their powers, and then 10 years later, they're figuring out what to do with their lives and how they adjust, because they have powers for X amount of years and they don't. If you like that type of book, you got to buy those books to see more of that. And that's just the way it is. And I personally am no different, where I talk a lot about indie, investing, alt investing, financial stuff. And I do have a class coming out October 5th, date of New York Comic Con, I believe. I did not get accepted there, but that's neither here nor there. Class is still coming out. It's going to be a fun class. My ideal is to keep it at $40 for about 22 hours of class. So if you want to learn how to be an indie comic investor and invest in traditional indie, all that fun stuff, my class is for you. Udemy, Substack, locals, all that fun stuff. So you got to support what we do here. And that's the whole point here. And on that note, I don't know who wants to take us out. I don't know if you want to take us out, Tom, but you get the final word.
I get the final word. Go get Bad Kitty. Go get Bad Kitty. We want to do so much more Bad Kitty. I've already pitched more Bad Kitty. That's how much we want to do. So help us out. Check out a cool Bad Girl book. If you dig Bad Girl books, it's amazing art, great covers, great story. And we have a lot more. We just got to make it successful.
Well, on that note, everybody, I don't think I could have said it any better than Tom did. And we're out.